This is Talk to Me. Your host, Joshua Toomey, bring you epic rants, anecdotes, and interviews with heavy hitters from hardcore
A new life begins!
to hair metal. This is Talk to Me.
What is up, congregation? Welcome into Talk to Me. This is episode 242. As always, I am your host, Joshua Toomey. The guest this week is the great Phil Demmel of Vio-lence, formerly of Machine Head, and now he is one of the hardest working men in metal. He is on the new Brian Posehn album. He's got an upcoming album with his supergroup featuring Bobby Blitz and Mike Portnoy. Some great stuff with Dave Ellefson and Brendan Schappetti of Bleeding Through. This interview was done at his bar in Dublin, California. The wife and I recently went out there to see Mr. Bungle, and while we were in town, we got to see an in-store with Brian Posehn and Scott Ian. Got to see a live taping of The Dollop, which was fantastic. And then we got to go to Alcatraz, so only in San Francisco a few days, and made the best of it. And I knew I couldn't go to San Francisco and not get someone on the podcast. So many great musicians out there and such rich history out there, so I had to find somebody, and Phil was gracious enough to have me out to his bar. If you're in the Dublin, California, San Francisco area, it's about 45 minutes outside San Francisco, so it's not too bad to get out there. Drinks were great. Had a great time with Phil, which you will hear coming up shortly. Make sure you're heading over to my socials and checking out the Talk to Me t-shirt, the latest Talk to Me t-shirt. Skull, pizza, headphones, can't go wrong. $25, free shipping in the continental United States. If you are outside the U.S., we will work something out, and I will get a t-shirt out to you. Small through extra large is what I have currently. Leave your name and your address. The t-shirts are $25, free shipping in the continental United States. If you're outside the United States, I will hook you up wherever you are in the world. We will work something out. So once again, $25, paypal.me/talktome. Leave your name, your address, and your size. Small through extra large. I will get a shirt out to you as soon as possible. Also, head over to merchlive.com. Check out all their bundles they have. They have so many great t-shirts over there from Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, Metallica, Five Finger Death Punch, Pantera, and so much more. Merchlive.com. Use the promo code TOOMEY10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Yes, that is TOOMEY10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. And once again, merchlive.com, TOOMEY10 for 10% off your entire order. This is a nice long interview with Phil Demmel, so we will get into one of my favorite solos from Phil Demmel. Get into my conversation with Phil. Listen to some classic Vio-lence. Rob Rivera's pick from the kit is coming up after that, and then I will talk to you guys momentarily. All right, guys, we are sitting here at the Back Lounge with Phil Demmel, owner of the Back Lounge.
Yeah.
Phil Demmel here. How you doing, man?
We're in the back of the Back Lounge.
We are in the back. And I was telling him earlier, it didn't hit me until I got here what the Back Lounge was, and it's the best part of the bus, right?
Yes. Yeah. You don't talk about what happens in the back lounge, man.
If you get on the front part of the bus, that's one thing. But if you can make it to the Back Lounge, you've made it.
But you don't tell anybody.
Yeah, you definitely you got to pass those.
And that's kind of our trip here. Is kind of like the three wise monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil.
Right.
It's just kind of like I think Marta came up with the tagline like indulge in confidence, like
nice.
What stays at the back lounge.
So a little bit of history of this bar. I know it was called Evie's, and I heard you talk about it once before. But just kind of give a little rundown of what made you want to get into the bar business and purchase this place.
Oh man, well it's been a bar in this particular spot for 30 plus years, probably 50 years. It used to be called Patrick's. It was called the Chartreuse Moose when I was a kid.
Nice.
So it's always
around here.
I did. I live in the same house that I was I've lived in since I was like 9 months old or something. So I bought my parents' house about 15 years ago, and
all that Machine Head money rolling in.
No, actually, no. That was it was right when I joined the band, I want to say, but it was I was working construction up until 2011 or 12. So that's a good 10 years into my machine head career. That
right.
I was union carpenter, still hold my card, but as while we're talking, I'm like just cut out a window and I'm putting in a door and a window and threw stucco at my house. But the bar here, Marta, when we got together in 2010, she came up to live with me. She was living in Southern California, and she was getting a job. She needed to work, and so we had a buddy, Jay Jones, who worked here and said, hey, I could get her a job, bartending here. And so she started bartending, and, it led to her managing the place and learning how to, order and learning the business.
Right.
And so Evie, the previous owner, older lady, was all about the girl power. Lots of girls work here and wants to empower women. And so she took her under her wing, and they just hit it off really well. And she had owned it here for like 30 years or so, and wanted to sell. And we're like, man, I would love to be my own boss.
Right. Oh yeah.
And so it was towards the last couple of years of Machine Head too. So where it's like. Yeah, being my own boss right now would be a pretty rad deal.
Nice.
So we pulled some money together and pulled out a business loan. Who's just about paid off already, under 2 years, and had all our loans paid off and making serious money, man. People like to drink.
Yeah. I mean, we're here. What is this? Friday afternoon. Nice little crowd, already. So
yeah.
Little Valentine's Day crowd.
Yeah, people start getting off of work and
yeah. What was it like kind of growing up around here? Obviously, I played here once. I played the Pound in 2002, 3, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And then...
what was the name of the band?
I played in Primer 55.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we actually played with Skin Lab. We were on tour. Skin Lab was on tour with us, with Dope Skin Lab us. And we played the Pound.
Wasn't your drummer, wasn't he local?
Preston, no. Preston he was from Dope, and then he went to Primer when I joined.
Oh, okay.
He was
a drummer
New
from
York
that
kid.
band, but I was familiar with the name.
But it was they had their moment.
Yeah.
Actually, the 20th anniversary of the first album came out, so I think we might do some shows this year.
That makes you old.
I know, right? Very old.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I'm just kind of being out here for the second time. I was actually talking to Gene Hoagland yesterday about this. Was going to a city. There's two ways to go. Once touring and once actually going. Because I've been here before, but I've never actually been here before. You know what I'm saying?
Be a tourist.
You've been to so we actually get to do touristy stuff this time, and it's a cool area. I'm not digging these hills though, man. Driving up and down these hills is driving me bonkers. But what was it like kind of growing up around here?
Well, I mean, you drove out here, so you know how far away we are from the city. We're close enough, but yet far enough.
Right.
And it's we live in a valley here. It's a little suburb, but it's like a secluded kind of a valley where everybody growing up knew each other. And Dublin back in the days was actually, we were scrubbling, because we were like the pothead school,
right.
And the stoners, and and so we were kind of, because the surrounding areas, Pleasanton and Danville, San Ramon, they're a little more richer area. Livermore out there, you get a little more into the country, and they're
nice.
Got the cowboys out that way, but Dublin was definitely like the little dirty kid in the middle of these two rich communities. It was cool. It was a good music scene here from the people that lived here. I mean, this Willie Langenhusen, he was in Waz Rocket, and he played in a local band called Rampage, which included Chuck Billy, and so they were playing parties, and I was too young to go to those at the time, but Chuck's brother Ed was in Vio-lence with me, and
Nice.
in 1985, and so we looked up to. They were like a few years older, and they started getting into the club scene and showing us, hey, Berkeley's out here, and bands are playing here, and and Metallica starts up, and all this starts happening, and so it was a very rich in music kind of neighborhood. My cousin Troy Lucetta, from Tesla. Grew up like less than a mile from here. Zetro from Exodus lives less than a mile from here. And so all these different kind of genres, but all kind of the talent is pretty insane when you think about it.
I was thinking that Tesla predated you, but I guess it was about the same time, right? Yeah. So you guys were kind of Vio-lence and Tesla and all that stuff. It was kind of all going on around the same time, right?
It was 85 was when Vio-lence started. Our first record came out in 88, and I think that Tesla was getting just maybe like 86, 87-ish. But Troy was in a band called they were called 4 and 5, and he was in the Eric Martin band.
Okay.
So they was already he was playing Day in the Greens and playing all these big shows before Tesla really hit. So
were you close with him growing up, or?
I didn't meet him until 2007.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we were on tour with Heaven and Hell in Phoenix, and he was there, and he showed up, and we met for the first time.
Was that just like are you first cousins, second cousins?
Second cousins.
Okay,
our moms,
so it's a little bit
moms
distant.
are cousins.
Okay,
and he was it was just never because I grew up, my family was pretty close.
Yeah,
and so we had family reunions that we always had to go to, and they're fun. But he was never really a part of that, so we never connected in that way. So.
Yeah, I met Troy a couple years ago at the Rock and Pod Expo in Nashville.
Cool.
It's like a heavy metal podcast convention, and Troy actually I think just got announced today to come back this year. So that'd be kind of cool.
Excellent.
So he was I think a big hit of all the podcasts out there.
All right,
he's a little bit
super nice guy.
little bit out of my demographic, but I might pull him in on this one. Next year,
right. Well, I have his sticks are. I think the furthest on the left. You can see all the drumsticks and the chandeliers here. So these are Johnny Tempesta's on this side. Then it's Mike Portnoy.
Nice.
Then we got Master Braun from Mastodon. Dave McClain, of course. And then Lars, Charlie Benante, Dave Lombardo, and then Troy's on the end.
Oh, nice.
Pretty cool. And then these the lights over the drums were given to us by Yamaha and by Dave McClain. So I'm having people sign them as they come in.
Oh, that's cool, man.
The celebrity guys that come in. So,
yeah. It's definitely. I had heard that that Jackson did the bathroom door knobs.
The guitar neck.
Kind of pulling in, man. It's good stuff.
It's a sports bar, but it's got a rock vibe to it too. So.
It's funny. I was saying something about this back home, but the Niners just in the Super Bowl. And I was in San Francisco. You just don't see any 49er stuff. Like, is it just
because they lost?
Is it just a weird fan base though? Like, I mean, not even like people wearing a hat or a shirt or
it's
like
because
something.
They lost. If they would have won, it would have been insane. But it's been pretty quiet because they lost.
You're a Raiders guy, though, right?
I am a Raiders guy. How
do you feel about them going to Vegas?
I get it. It's because the Coliseum's pile of crap.
Yeah.
And they needed a place to play, and I don't know all the ins and outs, but as much as I do know, it just seems like, hey, they gave him a chance.
Yeah.
Las Vegas has gone, here, we'll build you a stadium and give you all this. Of course you're going to go. You're not going to stay where you're not wanted.
Yeah, we were in Vegas over the summer and saw the skeleton of the stadium.
It's coming along, man.
And then now they've shown pictures of it, and you're just like, oh my God, to go from the Coliseum to that thing, it's going to be nuts.
They have never had like a state of the art stadium, man. Right? Never. The one in Oakland was new.
They play at the.
But that was they called the mausoleum. It was like the one they had the 1920 Olympics there or something ridiculous, So
that was state of the art in the 20s.
Yeah, they they were going to fix it up and put boxes in, but I went to many games down at that Coliseum. It sucked.
I know the Raiders do kind of embrace the metal side of things. I know Metallica played the parking lot and things like that. Were you there for that?
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm a Titans fan, and that was the Titans game.
Yes.
And so there's footage of James going, for whom the bell tolls on the Titans today or something like that, It's just like, it's
Bob Rock playing bass.
Yeah. Bob Rock wanted that gig so bad, too.
It was fun, man. We heard a rumor, and we usually party on the north side, and that was in the south side. And so we came down, and once they got, it was like it was Ruthie's Inn all over again.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of pitting on the asphalt and playing, all the old songs and Whiplash, and it was fun.
It was kind of cool at that in-store at the Amoeba yesterday. with Scott Ian being there, and you could tell like a lot of the dudes that were there were probably from the scene from the day, and like I just want to pick everyone's brain, but you know, because growing up even in Nashville, you know, the Bay Area scene was like the thing where to go, and you know, and the whole all the bands, you know, you guys included, you know, even Vio-lence and you know, Machine Head later on, things like that, but even the Exodus and Testaments and Metallica and all that. And even the byproduct bands of like, you know, Megadeth and Slayer kind of adopting this area too.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
So it's just like, you know, growing up, you know, you knew this was where to go. You know, what was it like kind of growing up in that?
It was amazing, man. And
did you know that there was something going on, or was it just like, this is where I live? I
figured, you know, because during that golden era, you know, I traveled down to LA and seen some shows down there. I would roadie for Legacy, which was, you know, Testament with Zet, and we'd go down there and play, and you'd see that there was a lot, you know, happening down there too. So I figured it was just kind of like what was happening, and as the older you get, then you realize, holy crap, this is something really special. And the movie Murder in the Front Row, the documentary that's out, really encapsulates a lot of the really early beginning of that. But later on, after, you know, Practice What You Preach time, like early 90s time, when it's like, man, you could go to the Omni or the Stone 5 days a week, you know, and you did. There was a core 200 people that just were part of the scene, and didn't matter who was playing. Everybody was friends, and, you know, it was a special time. It was really cool. You'd
mentioned Laws Rocket earlier, and I think that a lot of times when people talk about the Bay Area scene, they always talk really highly of those guys. And kind of like maybe like a founding father of the scene, or just someone that was doing something at the time that kind of showed that it could be done. Maybe that's where we're at.
They were, I think that Laws, they were kind of a tweener band. You know, they weren't thrash, but they weren't really, because there's a lot of hair metal going on at that time too. So there was a lot of. They teased their hair, you know, they had the big hair. So they were a metal band, definitely, double bass. So I think they were a tweener band that never really caught on in that sense. They were there in the beginning. They were the reason why I got into heavy music. Yeah. You know, it's just, wow, Laws is killer. And the two guitar players, Aaron Jellum and Phil Kettner, were amazing, dude. They were so good together.
Yeah.
Amazing harmony solos and it's stuff that I had never seen before. And
well, let's dive into some of since you're doing so many things now, you're all over the place and getting to do so many things now that you're out of Machine Head. You get to
there's a lot going on for sure.
Stuff everywhere.
I think that I've started turning down things.
Yeah,
because there was a while where it's like and Ellison, who's I'm kind of working with in a sense, he's all, you're just like me, man. You don't turn anything down here.
Well, that's he said that many times, and even there's another guy, Rock and Pod Expo last year. Ellison was there, sat down, and he's like, I just started saying yes. He's like, you just don't say no, you just say yes, and he's like,
make it work.
And it's funny because obviously my show's not huge, but it's cool to get a guy like that on.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I'll see who he's doing interviews with. I don't think he says no to a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is cool though.
He likes that boy likes to talk.
He gets he can talk. You can get a great interview out of him with 3 questions.
For sure.
If you just get him on the right track and just let him go, he's a good talker.
Put a quarter in him and let him go.
Well, first on the list is just recently announced was I guess you're just going as BPMD, the cover band that we were talking about a minute ago.
BPMD, yeah. No, that's not the cover band I was talking about before. That was the Merkins.
Oh, the Merkins. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why you brought up Skinner. No, I was talking about the Merkins, which is my high school buddies, and we play here.
Yeah, okay.
And we play, and that's so BPMD is Bobby Blitz, Mike Portnoy, Mark Mengi, and myself, and we just got together one day, threw down 10 cover tunes from the 70s, all American bands, Skinner, Ted Nugent, James Gang, Blue Oyster Cult, bands like that, and we rocked them up a little bit, we thrashed them up a little bit, but it was my first time tracking rhythm guitars in, I want to say 12 years or so, 12 or 13 years, yeah.
So Rob did all the rhythm?
Yeah, there was during the Blackening is when he started taking off doing all the rhythm tracks.
Huh. That's a very Hetfield thing to do. I didn't realize that Kirk really didn't play much on old Metallica albums until I think Load maybe. I think was when he stepped up, or Saint Anger.
I think he might have played. Yeah, I think he played on Saint Anger.
Yeah, you didn't realize how much Kirk didn't play on those albums.
Right.
He just came in for the solos and get out.
Yeah, there was very few other little parts that I'd play on the records. Some of the ambient stuff maybe, or But no, he took over doing all the rhythms, and so it was a big deal for me to go into like playing with caliber of the dudes that I was playing with, and go in and just kind of play really well and be the only guitar player, so take over all the solos too, and so did all my rhythm tracks in a day and did all my solos in a day. And
is this a get in a room and jam thing before you do it, or is this you get some tracks and do it?
Well, what we did was we talked about it before, and everybody picked 2 songs, and then we had a couple songs that we had to do, and so there's 10 songs total. Then we got together. I flew out to Mike's out in Pennsylvania and got together one day, set up, and we're all right. Let's run through it a couple times, and cool. He tracked his drums, and then we're done.
Well, that's cool, just because so much technology now, it's like you get sent a track, and I'm sure you're doing that now with some of the solo stuff you're doing, where you're adding solos to stuff, where you're getting, here's the track, do what you want, and send it back into thing. But it's just cool to see, getting in a room and jamming is such a... almost
that was important.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah, because Bobby's singing next to me here, and we're able to vibe on each other, and I think that it was a cool project. I thank those dudes a lot for giving me the opportunity to it gave me a lot of confidence in my playing and my abilities, and just to be kind of wanted in that sense, it was a big deal.
It's funny, I was listening to I've referred to a couple times your interview with Scott Bowling with Good Company with Bowling.
Yeah.
A great dude. Scott, I love Scott.
Yeah, awesome.
But he on there you kind of talked about maybe doubting yourself a little bit, or like maybe I'm not a good guitar player. Somewhere in there you had said something along that lines, of kind of self-doubt. I'm just like, really? Like Phil Demmel, like kind of just didn't believe in his abilities, and it's just it's crazy to hear something like that out of somebody so talented.
Yeah, leaving the last situation. I mean, I don't, I've reached a point now. Here we are in February, Valentine's Day, right. And it's been
Happy Valentine's Day.
15. Yeah, awesome hanging with you on Valentine's Day.
Hey, you were drywalling a second ago. So it's not like you were out.
No, we're not doing anything. Every day is Valentine's Day for us, man.
Yeah, I believe you.
15 months later, I've had this kind of not epiphany, but just feeling. It's just like, I'm done sniveling and whining about those days. And
right.
Like I said my piece, and I don't regret a lot that I said, but I've said it enough. And I think that you were one of the first ones that I talked about with it.
I didn't realize until doing a little research that you hadn't really done interviews yet.
I hadn't.
So I was just
after not doing it for so long, and then you were one of the. And I don't want to be like, oh, you're going to get the exclusive. Well, it's just like you were the guy that asked. And so I spilled.
You got to thank Rob Rivera for that.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, good dude. Getting back to the point where it's been long enough, man. Yeah. It's been long enough. I had so many good years and so many good times in that band. And, I don't want to talk about the shit anymore. I just want to talk about, stuff that we're doing now and the good times from that band.
Yeah.
And, all that entails.
Good or bad, those records are going to stand the test of time.
Yes.
Just even on the way over here, I was listening. What's that?
Most of them.
Well, yeah. Hey, I like some of the catharsis. I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
It was funny hearing you kind of talk about some of the songs with, I was like, Triple Beam actually isn't that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on to, no, I'm just kidding.
So the BPMD record is, it's coming out, we think maybe June, maybe July.
Yeah.
We're about to sign a deal, or, I think that we signed a deal already. So there's a record coming out. Probably do some festivals, probably do some coast dates, both coasts. And whenever we can, we're both all busy dudes. And, Bobby just had an Overkill record come out. Portnoy always has a record
Portnoy's in every other band.
Yes.
You're going to turn into like the Mike Portnoy thing. Where
I am not going to turn, he plays with the talent that guy plays with, that kind of takes me out of a lot of that.
I don't know. So it's funny, you got Bobby Blitz in this, but then looks like Bobby Gustafson just joined Vio-lence. How is that going to work out? Are you all right with that?
It's going to work out fine. Those guys are, they're pros, and they have. I wasn't involved in the divorce. They're. Either of them have barely spoke about each other, and when they have, it's been on respectful terms, and to me, and that's all I care about.
Right.
It's to me, it hasn't been a thing. They've been respectful to me because I'm not going to let one of my friends talk shit about another one of my friends. If I don't have beef with whatever, unless I agree with it, then it'll be. Right. But in this sense, it's the guys are being pros, so it's.
Yeah, as soon as I had Bobby on here when he was for Satan's Taint. And I was like, anybody that names their band Satan's Taint is more than welcome to be on the podcast.
He's up here.
Yeah.
We've been rehearsing.
Oh, cool.
And, it's been 4 jams, and he picked up songs really well, man. Bobby's killing it. He works hard, and, he knows the songs. So it's he's playing Rob solos like better than I was playing them, So it's, it's been great.
Great. Just kind of looking back on that, I mean, around that time, you guys are coming up over here, Overkill's out there. What was the crossbreed back then?
There was a definite West Coast, East Coast bias. We were, we took our thrash pretty serious, and we owned it pretty seriously, and so back then it was. I think as you because they were friendly with Metallica dudes and Testament toured with Overkill, but we didn't really have that connection and that time together, So it was just a little bit of like East Coast,
Right. How was your? How did this come about with Bobby joining Vio-lence for these shows? And stuff?
Perry was good friends with him.
Okay,
Perry had jammed with him back in the day, and I think him and Billy Milano and Bobby were supposed to do something at some point when Perry quit Vio-lence.
Mm-hmm.
I think Perry quit Vio-lence to do something with Bobby and Billy. Yeah. And so they've kept in touch, and, Perry had said, hey, Bobby's available, he knows the tunes. And, came up with Ray, and it was just time to move on.
And then this is culminating. The next thing it looks like you're doing is going to Australia, correct? Is that the next big stuff?
We're scheduled to go to Japan, Australia, New Zealand with those dudes next week.
Yeah, so you got to get this window done before you get out of here.
Yes, got to get the door in. Did it?
It kind of seems like something's happened in Australia, and I think there was some sort of promoter deal. And I don't know the ins and outs over there, but it seems like Australia's opened up to other bands going and not just doing the big day out festivals and things like that. Seems like there's a lot more smaller touring going on over there. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I haven't, it's been off my radar. I'm not too sure.
Right.
But I know of a lot of, smaller, whatever. I don't know what smaller is.
Right.
If you're able to get over there, then it's something substantial. If somebody wants to come see you in Australia, then something's going cool. So, for sure.
And then we talked about it earlier with the Brian Posehn album. How did that come about? Was that just hey, will you throw a solo on this thing? Brian?
Jay Rustin. I met Jay Rustin. There was a Bowling for Ronnie Dio thing, and I went to Sebastian Bach's house after.
Okay.
He's spinning vinyl, and there's a bunch of people there, and it's the first time that I drank. Or got drunk. I'd had one drink on my 50th birthday, but I went a good 2.5 years without drinking.
Oh, wow.
And so this was the first night I got drunk, and met Jay Rustin, and we just got started. He's a Canadian, and we're talking hockey, and hit it off pretty good. And so this came up to do a solo. He said, hey, we want to throw a solo down on this record. And so we sent it out, and super fun.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet. I got for the in-store, to buy a CD and meet them or whatever. I was like, we got some travel money, let's do it. And I bought the CD, and then they were doing a Q&A, and I was like, what would I ask them? I was like, be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Hold up the CD and be like, does anyone have a CD player? Like,
right.
I'll just listen to it on Spotify tomorrow when it comes out.
There you go.
It's just funny how technology. I don't even know if we have a CD player, an actual CD player in our house.
I don't.
Yeah.
Unless you play it on my son's Xbox or something
like that. You would have to rig up.
I do have one in my car.
Yeah.
I have one in my car.
I don't think we have one in our rental car. I was looking at it, trying to figure it out. And then she's got a Prius, and she was like, a newer Prius, and I was like, she kept saying she didn't know if she had a CD player or not. And I finally looked at it, and it's right there. It's like a little bitty slit where a CD would go. But if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah, my desktop doesn't have one either.
Yeah.
One of the iMacs, it's like, I guess
yeah.
no CDs.
Yeah, I'd heard some other podcasts. They were talking about if you want a DVD player, you have to get like an external drive.
Yeah,
for your to travel and watch movies and stuff,
right.
Man. Just like the physical medium is just pretty much gone.
Huh?
Were you ever like a record collector? And
I didn't collect records.
Stuff?
I collected cassettes.
Yeah.
Because I had the Ghetto Blaster. Had the Ghetto Blaster on my bike, delivering my papers or whatever, and taking it to school, and so I liked having cassettes. And
so you got to do the paper route as a kid?
I did.
That's kind of cool, man. I always wanted that. I lived in too much of a rural area for that. I would have died by the end. Did you ever see the movie Rad?
No.
It was like a bike movie, but the BMX 80s movie that the main guys. He has a paper route, but he's also like a BMX guy on the side. So his route, he would like jump stuff and flip, and But yeah,
I'd put the bags on my. I had a BMX bike, and I put the bags on the handlebars.
Oh wow!
And and you had to distribute them evenly, otherwise your bike would be so heavy on the inside. But I got to where you could throw them from the street and hit the porches and have my ghetto blaster going.
Did you have a lot of throw them in the bushes and people yelling at you like Phil?
I get complaints, and I was shitty. I was just bad.
Right.
Breaking porch lights, or I remember I threw one, and a person had a stand-up light like a lantern, and it broke and it stuck right in there, and I couldn't reach it, so it's just like, okay, well it's an Oakland Tribune paper. They're gonna know who broke your light, Wow.
So that's another thing that's kind of gone away too, is the the newspaper and just all this stuff. It's like if you want to. I think the phone.
You're 40. You're talking like you're 40 right now.
No, it's great. And this new music, I swear,
Yeah.
That's actually talking about that is just so many people complaining online about like the Grammys and how, they don't have enough rock and metal on there. And I'm like, they've never had rock and metal on there. Why are you? Maybe Metallica played once or twice.
Right.
But it's not like we grew up watching the Grammys and it was all Slayer and Megadeth.
Right. It's never that way.
I know. I don't know why people get so mad.
Maybe.
You're going to get the Foo Fighters. Live with it.
I love the Foo Fighters.
I do too. I'm just saying that's
as big as they get.
That's all you're going to get. You're going to get the Foo Fighters. But will you travel to Las Vegas for some Raiders games?
I think so. I'll probably go maybe once a year.
Yeah.
We've got a almost 4-year-old at home, and he needs constant attention and supervision because he'll get into. He's a wild kid, man.
Okay.
His name is Wolf, so he's living up to his name. But probably as he gets older and we're able to get out of town, probably go down there maybe one game a year. And we'll see.
Geographically, I think it was.
Are you a Raider fan?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Titans fan.
Yeah, so sorry about that 42-21 beating.
Right. Wasn't that close either.
No, it was tied at halftime, but then they poured on in the second half. But we're not going to talk about that right now.
That seems so long ago, man.
I know,
almost 20 years ago.
No, that game. I'm talking about a couple of this season.
Oh, you guys smoked us.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
No, actually, this year was the. Titans in this AFC Championship game
right.
for the first time in 17 years since the Raiders Titans game.
Right.
Yeah. Well, obviously you would be rooting for us because I'm assuming you can't stand the Chiefs.
I didn't want the Chiefs.
No.
But I was rooting for the Chiefs over the Niners, though.
Yeah, that's got to be. You're in a weird spot right there.
I was just rooting for injuries.
But man, Mahomes is just like he can just be garbage. I rewatched part of that game.
He never garbage.
It was 53 minutes of the 49ers were winning that game, and then the Chiefs scored 21 unanswered points. Yeah. Just like, how does that happen? You know?
Mahomes has been doing it all year, man.
Yeah, I mean, he did that to us in the championship game. We were up 17-7.
Yeah.
And
51 points on Houston after he's down 24-0.
Just like, how does that happen?
I picked the Super Bowl. I said KC over SF. Yeah. KC wins before the last week of the season.
Oh, nice.
So that was,
maybe you're in the wrong game. Maybe you should be in. Maybe you should be in Vegas.
Because when I used to bet on pro sports or on sports in general, I lost my ass. So it's.
Well, that's like anytime I
that is a true addiction for me. I can't do it.
Well, I look at we just I technically live over the river in southern Indiana, and they just legalized sports betting, and we've got the casino there, but it's still a little bit of a drive, so it's not like it's on the corner store kind of thing,
right?
But I went out there and placed a couple of bets, but it's like anytime I'm like 100% sure this is going to happen, the exact like not only the exact opposite, just like the whatever could be the furthest from what I picked happens. Like
that's hard.
Yeah,
there's no sure things. That's why all those lights are on in Vegas. That's why there's a big stadium.
That's why that big. See, I wonder how they're gonna the ratio of visiting fans is going to be on that, because I think that the hotels there we're probably going to have a huge chunk of tickets.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be a package deal where you can, Titans Raiders. If you're a Titans fan, you come in, grab your.
But how many fans are going to travel that far? 5,000, 10,000?
I don't know, man. It's crazy.
still going to be like 4 to 1. It's
yeah. Well,
Raiders fans travel, dude.
Yeah,
they travel.
Being a Titans fan is kind of odd because our stadium's about 68,000, and Nashville's kind of become an it city to travel to. So people are like, oh, we're planning. Let's go, make a weekend of Nashville and go see our team play.
That's cool.
And then when the Bills came to town, it was 50-50 Bills fans. It was insane.
Holy crap.
And like you could hear it when the Bills did something good. You could hear a roar. Like it's like wow. But it's just. But I think that the flat screen TV and you're sitting at home for $40 of beer and pizza. And, you don't have to go to parking. You don't have to fight traffic. You don't have to fight the parking lot.
Idiots at the game.
Yeah, idiots at the game. It's just. I think
a lot of idiots at the Raider games in Oakland, man.
But traveling to Vegas or traveling to any opposing city. I think Titans play the Bengals next year. That's about a hour and a half drive from me.
Oh, sweet.
So I'm probably going to go up there. It's just fun to see your team in another state.
Right.
And, going in as the underdog, as the outnumbered fan, and all that crap. That seems more.
I haven't done that too much. I went to a San Diego game. The Raiders had a chance to clinch, and it was when Breeze was on the Chargers. It was 2001. It was the year we went. There was the Tuck Rule game, so 2001, and we went in there, and it was a Raider game.
Yeah.
It was 70-30 Raider fans in that San Diego stadium. It was, you walked through the tailgate, you figured you were in Oakland.
Yeah.
So that was the only time I've been like at a visiting.
Well, they were showing the LA Charger games. Did you see the fans at those games?
Yes.
They were like 95% opposing fans.
Yes.
The Steelers game, it was just like all terrible towels just
Pretty
flying
crazy.
through there. It was just so cool, man. But,
Rivers says, "I'm out of here."
right. Yeah, I could see him go to the Colts, and I'm gonna have to deal with him for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Just they go from Manning to Luck, have like a down year, go to Phillip Rivers. It's just going to be like a thorn in my side for the rest of my life.
Right.
But yeah, it's so basically you're living the dream at this point. You're kind of a free agent musically. You get to do cool projects. You get to kind of live your life. You've got the bar, you got the sports bar. You come down here and
pretty fortunate, man.
Root for your team and all that stuff. And
I got this. I'm calling it an umbrella, just called The Echoes of Reckoning. It's like my solo projects will all fall under that title, and it could be anything. It could be acoustic, it could be rock, it could be thrash, it could be just metal, and that's what the Permanent Decay came out.
Okay,
it was a song that I had written for the previous band, and it did get new. No, come on, you're fine. So. Trying to break away, man. No, on parole.
Nice.
Back in 1983.
Was there death penalty in there too? Or something
death penalty was right before violence was death penalty. So, but it's a song that I had written, and me and Dave recorded together. I was playing it at my clinics, and decided to put some vocals on it. And Brandon from Bleeding Through came in, and Ellison said, "Let's throw some bass on it and maybe just release this thing and see how it goes." And people are digging it, man. People are loving it. There's some obvious hate too or whatever, but for the most part people are fucking digging it. So we've decided that maybe we're gonna write some more together, and whatever happens with that. So I got some more tunes going for that, and
man,
writing for a bunch of other people that too, and lots of music coming out of my home studio, man.
Yeah, it's just, keep it coming, man, because it's just...
I need a name for the home studio. I need a name. I can't, because that just sounds, stupid.
Yeah.
I need cool
tagline. Just go with your Demolition Studio or whatever,
What's the wife's too,
she's a Demmel now too.
Yeah, so
she
is.
There you go. It's kind of cool you did the stuff with Brendan. Obviously, I'm assuming that connection came through Marta, and all that stuff. But Brendan's obviously another past guest of the show, but another great dude and a good talker too. So so it's kind of cool to see that. Bleeding Through, I don't think kind of got their due at the time, but they're kind of another one of those bands that went away for a little bit and kind of popped back up as you guys were way ahead of your time and all that stuff.
They're heavy as fuck, man.
They were great. I saw them open for Bullet from My Valentine at some point, man.
Right, 2010.
Before
then.
Might have been About that time, 2008 to 2010, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's because we toured with them in 2010, so it was like before that.
Yeah. So it was like one of those things where at the time
I was standing behind her at the Warfield going,
I bet you were.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's where we went to see Mr. Bungle last night, was the Warfield.
Right.
And my God, the homeless problem in San Francisco is, I've heard, I mean, obviously, living in where I do, you hear about it.
Right.
It's that bad that you hear about it. But when you actually see it...
You're right in the Tenderloin there. You're right in the heart of it.
And we were in, the Mission... What is it? The Mission District or something?
I don't know. Yeah.
But,
it's called the Tenderloin.
Yeah. But it was just like... I mean, they were building fires on the side of the street. And the street smelled like piss. And there's just tents everywhere. And
Yep.
I was just like, man, like this is as bad, if not worse, than advertised.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just to see something like that. But what I was getting at with the Warfield, man, it was a cool old venue, man. You could just tell like a lot of history there, and God knows who else played there and how long it's been there and everything else.
I think that it was like a speakeasy back in the fucking Depression or something, And so if you go downstairs, there's like secret hallways and where it's got a lot of history there for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool place.
Kind of like the, I'm assuming you've played the Rave many a time in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
And
all
like,
the stories of
like you don't go down
the haunted
there.
Pool.
And the time I played there, the 2 times I played there, I was just like, I'm going to see how far I can get, And I'm like turning corners and going down stairways that, you definitely shouldn't be on and everything else,
cool.
man. But yeah, it was a cool venue.
Yeah, it is. It's cool.
But
I like that place a lot.
Seeing the Warfield, it was like, had this musk to it, and it needs to be like power washed. Yes. And then like obviously it needs
to be sandblasted.
Yeah, it needs something, man. Just somebody goes in there with some sort of dry cleaning equipment,
right.
and then then the Pantera smell shows up. All the illegal weed. I'm like, man, we are watching Mr. Bungle in our friend's basement right now. It is so cool.
That's funny, right?
Yeah, it was cool. I had a friend of mine that just through Facebook saw that we were coming. Said, hey, meet up with us before the show. We'll have a drink. We had a drink. She's like, hey, I know a friend. I can get you some wristbands because we had seats up top.
Oh, cool.
Walked down, got wristbands, walked right up to the stage, watched the show, man. It was a fun show.
That's cool.
It was cool to see them kind of doing the thrashy stuff too, and Mike Patton's a vocal legend. So
right on.
What him growing up around here? Did you know of him early or? Was it until Faith No More?
Not until he joined Faith No More, and right before that record, saw them at the Berkeley Square right when the record came out.
Right,
and I remember Mark Osegueda being there and going nuts because he'd heard the record and there was maybe 50 people at the show.
Yeah.
It was just, and then record comes out, they blow up, and then they're just opening for Billy Idol, and just ridiculous. So I didn't really get to know Mike.
Yeah. Were you ever around Cliff Burton?
A little bit. Sean from Vio-lence was one of his good friends, and actually roadied for him.
Oh, nice.
A few times. There's a famous New Year's Eve show that was here with I want to say Exodus and Megadeth and Metal Church.
Oh, I've seen flyers for that. Yeah.
And so Sean was roadieing that, and I'd met him a couple times, but not really. Didn't really know him.
What's that?
I didn't really know him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Possessed opened last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rad.
And what's the singer's name?
Jeff Becerra.
He was having the time of his life. The crowd was going crazy for him.
Right on.
And it was cool to be there to see him opening a show like that. You could see it in his face that he was having the time of his life.
Right.
And you could tell the crowd was maybe had a lot of San Francisco pride with them opening kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. What a cool thing
he
to
even
do.
Stopped at one point and he was just like, those shows we did in 84, 85, not a lot of people there. And this is, I think by the end he was saying that was his favorite show he's ever played.
Right.
So it was cool to see.
They did the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise when we were on it. And I didn't get a chance to see him. I was kind of hungover after the first night for it ruined the whole fucking cruise for me. But but they went over really well on that. And Sean, our singer, dug watching them too. So hope to maybe do some shows with them with Vio-lence down the road.
Yeah, that'd be a great bill. Yeah. And obviously looking back into their history, they're forefathers of even death metal.
Their song Death Metal was they were
it's right on the nose.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know a lot of the history of it, but probably one of the first bands.
Oh, yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, what else is going on in the Phil Demmel, under the umbrella of Phil Demmel? And we'll wrap this up.
Just been writing some tunes with McLean, writing a couple of songs that we got in the works, writing a new Vio-lence record. You're probably the first person that I'm telling that to.
There we go.
We're about to sign a deal to do 5-song EP. So we'll see how that goes and when that could come out. Just writing music, having fun, man. Got
living the dream.
Yeah, something cool happening towards the end of this year, and you'll know it when it pops. And
nice. Real quick, you filling in with Nonpoint. Obviously, Rob for a long time did a weekly pick from the kit. He would call in and pick a song. So Rob's a very good friend of the show.
Oh, right on.
And so
Love Rob.
How did that happen? How did that come along? Where you got up and did a couple of shows with those guys?
They opened. We opened for Hell Yeah back in 2008,
okay,
and they were on the bill as well. And so we got to. I always liked Nonpoint before then, you know. So it was cool to watch them play. Got friendly with them, and I always wanted to hear them play The Reckoning, you know.
Yeah.
So and as they come through town, I would play the song with that or play Bullet with them. And,
yep.
And so as it became available, and they needed somebody to fill in, they said, "Dude, we'd love for you to play these couple shows, and be rad if I could." Join the band if I had the time,
Right.
But they need somebody full time.
Yeah. Was that thrown out there?
No, I don't think so. I think that they needed somebody full time, and they knew I couldn't commit full time, and because the Vio-lence thing's going on, and so
with all that going on, I mean, obviously the Slayer, Nonpoint, filling in here and there, learning all these cover songs. Just as a musician, are you listen to it and get it, or are you I need to sit down with it for a while? How do you learn so quickly? And
well, listening to structure first.
Yeah.
And most people who've been playing as long as I have, you can hear, like through structure, you could, that's a full step, or this is it, kind of phrasing. But, that doesn't help when you're listening to a band. We're trying to learn a Slayer song because they're half steps and, weird timing and shit.
Yeah.
For the most part, I'll try to figure out as much as I can, and if there's little spots, and you just hit the YouTube or you hit the tabs, and you see that way. But I can pick up stuff pretty quick.
Okay.
But as I'm approaching 53 years old, the retention isn't what it once was. So it's like I'll fuck up on easy songs that so my cover band's called the Merkins.
Okay.
And it's made up of all my high school buddies. It was my high school band basically back together, and then like Marta will sing, but we'll get everybody from the area that we went to school with to kind of have their Little America's Got Talent, get to play in front of a couple hundred people and sing a Van Halen song or something. So it's kind of a community thing. But I'll fuck up Sin City or something like that, something super easy, and just go, fuck, what was I fucking thinking, So,
well, cool, man. Well, Phil, thanks for taking the time, man, coming down and
absolutely,
and having us at the back lounge here.
Thanks for coming.
If you're in Dublin, California, make sure to stop by and have a drink, right?
If you're in the Bay Area, come by.
It wasn't bad, like 45-minute drive.
Yeah, from the city, which is pretty good.
Yeah, we weren't too bad.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me, man. Always a pleasure.
Come for the dead. Cold
What's up, everyone? Rob Rivera from the band Nonpoint here, and this is Rob's Pick from the Kit here on the Talk To Me podcast. This week we have our good friend, my good friend, and Joshua's good friend, everybody's good friend, one of the nicest guys I have ever met in this industry, top 5 of people I have met in the nice guy category, Mr. Phil Demmel, from Vio-lence, former Machine Head, former Vio-lence, now back in Vio-lence. I decided to pick a song dedicated to him since I have known him. We have talked a lot about music and some of the bands that he was into growing up, and we have a lot of similar tastes, which makes my friendship with Phil even more awesome than it already is. We're going to pick the band Riot and the song Swords and Tequila from the Fire Down Under album. This record is one of the most underrated albums to ever come out in that era, who has one of the best vocalists, Guy Speranza, who was once considered or rumored or possibly called to be the next singer in Anthrax after Neil Turbin, who sang on the first album, Fistful of Metal, for those who don't know, left the band, where he got kicked out. I really don't remember what that whole transition was, but Guy Speranza was the guy on the list, and I would have been very curious to hear Anthrax music with Guy on the vocals. But I'm still, to this day, extremely happy that Joey Belladonna was picked to be the singer in Anthrax, and still my favorite of the Anthrax eras is the Joey era, even though all the eras are amazing. Anyway, this is a song, Swords and Tequila. I cannot say that. Swords and Tequila, here on the Talk To Me podcast segment of Rob's Pick from the Kit.
Carry me through the night.
All right, huge thank you to Phil Demmel for taking the time. He literally came over from doing some home repairs to come sit down with me, and that was one of the more fun interviews I've done. I don't do a ton of in-person interviews, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you like it, make sure to leave a rating, review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, recommendation, or just a simple hey on Facebook on the Talk To Me congregation. Let me know what you guys thought of the live interview and if I should do more of those. Make sure to order a Talk To Me t-shirt. Make sure to head over to merchlive.com. Use the promo code TOME10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. And so for the Talk To Me podcast, I am Joshua Toomey, and I will talk to you guys soon.